Alright guys, back with another video for you today. I'm talking about new releases. Lots of new releases have been slated to launch, and the fragrances I'm discussing today, most of them are yet to launch. Some of them have launched already. But if you're interested in finding out about new fragrances that are soon to land, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yes, we're talking about new fragrances that are soon to launch. I'm always excited for new fragrances. Most of the time they turn out great. Sometimes they turn out bad. Sometimes they're just okay. But always I'm excited for new fragrances because I love, discovering something new. A new smell, not something that I've already smelled before. Those are the most unexciting experiences. But these sound like they're going to be really great. And as I said, I'm always interested in new fragrances, and most of these are brands that I speak about, but there are a few brands I haven't spoken about on the channel yet. And there's also 4 brands with 2 fragrances each in this video. So lots of new releases from houses. Before I get to the fragrances though, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you haven't subscribed, please, as always, click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So if you have heard of a new fragrance that I haven't spoken about or discussed at all, please put a comment down and let me know what it is so I can look into it. But let's go ahead and get started. Moving on to the house of Loewe, a Spanish house, fashion house, so it's a designer under LVMH. Loewe has a new fragrance called Earth. So Loewe recently redid all their bottles, and they're all uniform bottles, but they come in colorful collection of bottles, so all different colors, which is kind of cool. A lot of LVMH repped or represented brands are doing uniform bottles lately, like Guerlain did it, now Loewe has done it, but I think the bottles look good, and Earth sounds interesting. Earth is a fragrance featuring notes of truffle, pear, Elemi resin, mimosa, and violet. Are you a fan of Loewe's fragrances? Do you have a favorite? My favorite is 001 Man. I also enjoy Essentia, and then there's also Paula Zabiza. Great fragrances. So this fragrance is created by Nuria Cruelis Borrull. Don't really know this particular perfumer, so I'm having a difficult time saying her name. It sounds like a Spanish name because it is a Spanish house, but I'm curious about Loewe's fragrances. If you've sampled it already, if it's out, do let me know. Moving on to a house I haven't spoken much about, and one of these days I'm going to do an overview of this house. It's WIDIAN. WIDIAN has a new fragrance coming out soon called BANIYAS, B-A-N-I-Y-A-S. Created by Jordi Fernandez. It seems like it's going to be a fougere fragrance. It's got Evernyl, which is an oak moss note. There's oud, lavender, patchouli, sandalwood, vetiver, geranium, cedar, artemisia, bergamot. I've seen Jordi Fernandez's name come up quite a bit lately, and I do enjoy some of his creations. And I also have smelled WIDIAN's fragrances, which all used to be called AJ Arabian or AJ Arabia. Either way, I'm curious about this fragrance, and I'm curious to discover their entire collection and do a video for you guys soon. Their fragrances are sold at ZGO Perfumery here in San Francisco, so if you ever come to San Francisco, you can always go there and check out their fragrances. Moving on to the next fragrance, going to the house of Floris. It's number 007. I'm assuming this is a James Bond inspired fragrance. This is created by Penny Ellis and Nicola Pozzani. So Floris is not very hyped. Like Loewe, it's underhyped, I think. Maybe because Floris is an older house. I think Loewe is still very, very modern. They also have very modern clothing, if you've ever seen their clothing. But Floris, on the other hand, I think is a classic house, kind of sort of like Penhaligon's, and even less popular. But I like the idea of a James Bond inspired fragrance. This is amber, sandalwood, rose, lavender, oak moss, juniper, bergamot, geranium, rosemary, musk. So it seems aromatic and ambery. Perhaps this is something like amber fougere, we shall see. And I like this idea for a James Bond themed fragrance, so we shall see how it is. So moving on to the next house, which I've never spoken about on this channel, Kayali, or Kayali, I think it's pronounced Kayali. This is a house that is very, very hyped on Instagram, and they have fairly decent fragrances. I've smelled their vanilla, do really dig it. I haven't really purchased anything from this house. And then now they have a new fragrance called Burning Cherry. It's Burning Cherry LOVEFEST, something like that, 48. Very complicated name for me. I don't know how they do their names and what the numbers are, so I have to really look into this particular brand. But like I said, I have smelled the vanilla. It's really delicious. I hope to buy that. Maybe I'll buy the cherry and one other fragrance and do like a overview on 3 different fragrances. But if you've sampled the cherry, I think it's out already. Do let me know. But it is created by Philippine courtier and one other perfumer. Features notes of Palo Santo, tonka beans, cherry, raspberry, praline, gaiac, ambertolide, Peru balsam, heliotrope, and rose. Does this smell like lost cherry? Is every cherry fragrance smelling like lost cherry? Do let me know. Put a comment down. But always interested in discovering a cherry fragrance. I do enjoy lost cherry. And then I'm curious about burning cherry from Kayali. It says LOVEFEST burning cherry. Is that how you say it? But do let me know if you're a fan of Kayali. Do let me know if you've sampled this burning cherry. Do let me know if you'd like me to do a video on the Kayali house. I'm really looking forward to it. As I said, the not the cherry, but the vanilla smells great. Always love a vanilla fragrance, so I'm curious to explore this particular brand. Alright guys, next up is a very exciting fragrance for me, although with a not so exciting fragrance. Does that make sense? This is a flanker to a fragrance that's already existing. You know, I'm kind of bored of Vetiver for some reason. I keep saying that and I come back to it and I kind of get into it and I kind of leave Vetiver again. That's not a very exciting note to me lately. I don't know why, but this is a flanker to Sycomore. It's Chanel Sycomore in the Parfum concentration. It comes in a little bottle. It's not a spray, it's a dabber, so you're gonna have to dab. But they do have some great parfums. Chanel really does. Wish they came in as a sprayer, but they don't. I have a few of them myself, but Sycomore Parfum seems or sounds really, really great. Seems like it's gotten sweeter and amberier. They have notes of vetiver, iris, vanilla, cedar, and leather. So they've taken it into a very deep and rich, thick concentration direction, which is what happens with the parfums from Chanel. And this is the first time I think they've ever done a Sycomore Parfum. So this is one I'm really, really excited about. It's a tough one for me to be overly excited because it is the dabber, it's not a spray, but this does sound really great. The addition of vanilla with the vetiver, and of course it's got the leather, sounds really, really exciting. So we shall see. I don't know when that comes out, but I'm looking forward to that. Moving on to the House of Penhaligon's. This is Highgrove Bouquet. This is a fragrance created by Julie Pluchet. I think that's how you say her name. It's orris root, mimosa, cedar, tuberose, lavender, geranium, weeping silver lime. So this seems like it's a feminine leaning fragrance, which is fine. I recently purchased the car racing fragrance, which I thought was a masculine leaning. So now they've got a kind of a feminine leaning fragrance they've launched. I haven't really reported back on the car racing fragrance. I'm also drawing the blank with the name. But this one, definitely I'm curious to try as well. It's got lots of aromatic notes along with really beautiful flowers, and then of course the orris, which makes fragrances powdery. So Highgrove Bouquet from Penhaligon's should be great. Moving on to the indie house of Kerosene, it's Followed. I don't speak much about this house. I have a video that I shot with John Pegg here when he was here in San Francisco. I shot a video with him, and I do like a lot of his fragrances, some of his fragrances. Unknown Pleasures is my favorite, and then I also like Follow. But this new one is called Followed. Followed sounds like it's like a flanker to Follow, because it does feature coffee, caramel, vanilla, cocoa, amber. So most likely they've taken Follow into more of a gourmand direction with the addition of the caramel and vanilla and the cocoa as well. This absolutely sounds delicious. I'm really looking forward to trying this one, and hopefully I'll get my nose on it before I leave to Europe, or most likely it's going to have to be after I get back. So another brand I don't speak too much about, Arquiste. Are you guys a fan of this particular house? They're not very out there, although they do sell the fragrances here. They used to be at Barney's, now they are at Ministry of Scent, which used to be called Tiger Lily. So this new one, Indigo Smoke, is created by Khalees Becker. It features notes of pine tar, mate tea, cedar leaf, frankincense, apricot, cumin, carrot seed, gaiac wood, lapsang, souchong tea, vetiver, and bergamot. Seems very different, this particular fragrance. Pine tar, mate, cedar, apricot, cassia, lots of different unique notes. The carrot seed. We'll see how it is. It doesn't sound like an uber sweet fragrance, but it sounds like an exciting fragrance for me to try. So we shall see how it is. Arquiste Indigo Smoke. Let's see if Ministry of Scent will bring the brand over. I mean, not the brand, but the fragrance over, because they already sell the brand. Moving on to another house I haven't spoken much about on this channel, Ellis, called Vanilla Milk. So I recently sampled one fragrance from this house. It didn't really do much for me, maybe because I was sampling in passing. So I'm really curious to dig into this house. It was B. That's what I sampled, B. They have a fragrance called B. It was nothing like B from Zoologist Perfumes. I didn't care for this B. I love Zoologist Perfumes B, but Ellis's B did not really smell that great to me. But again, I was in passing. But this new one, Vanilla Milk, sounds really great, and I'm curious to sample it. It features notes of benzoin, amyris, sandalwood, bourbon, and Madagascar vanilla, cacao, milk, peony, frangipani, and jasmine. So it seems like it's a gourmand, a lactonic fragrance with chocolate and cacao type notes, but there's also tropical flowers. So is it going to go tropical and beachy? Frangipani always adds that kind of a layer to fragrances. So we shall see how this one is. I'm interested in digging into this house. I like their bottles. I like their kind of like standout color bottles, kind of minimalist but kind of bright colors and kind of happy colors to me. That's what they look like. So I'm curious to see if this one smells great and if there's another fragrance from this house that smells really great, because as I said, when I sampled B from Ellis, didn't really care for it, but maybe I didn't give it enough time, so we shall see. If any of you is a fan of this house and enjoys their fragrances, do let me know. Put a comment down so I can find out. Okay, one more fragrance before we move on to fragrances from 4 houses with 2 fragrances each. The next fragrance is Mancera Fabulous Yuzu. There it is, that word fabulous is finally used in fragrance again. We've got Fabulous from Tom Ford. I won't say that word. Should I? Maybe not. But Fabulous Yuzu sounds interesting from Mancera. It's interesting. I started loving Montal. Now I'm actually into Mancera a little more than Montal. Has that happened to you guys as well? Which do you prefer, Montal or Mancera? Do let me know. Put a comment down so I can find out. Fabulous Yuzu. Yuzu is still kind of going strong. Yuzu, grapefruit, pomelo in fragrances. So that now Mancera's got a fragrance focused on Yuzu. And this one features notes of vetiver root, Yuzu, mandarin, Mysore sandalwood, vanilla, tonka, jasmine, mimosa, lemon, cinnamon. Sounds yummy. Always love a yuzu fragrance. I did not update my grapefruit yuzu pomelo video this year. I had done one 2 years ago, and one of you just commented on one of my posts on Instagram for me to do a video, and I sent you the 2020 video. I don't know if I'll have time to update it this year. Might have to hold off till 2023. But if you're curious to learn more about yuzu fragrances, I have a whole video. But the Mancera Fabulous Yuzu does sound great. I'm looking forward to trying that one. Only thing is that cinnamon note that's in there kind of scares me. I'm not sure about cinnamon, but maybe they got it working nicely together with the other notes. So the next fragrance and the fragrance after that are from one brand called Rammstein. So I did a video on their fragrances, and they've got 2 fragrances coming out. Seaman Intense and Weidmann's Hail. Is that how you say it? Now Weidmann's Hail got a different cap, very unique cap. I'm hoping to get these 2 fragrances. And then Seaman Intense is the intense version of Seaman, which I don't have. It is an aquatic marine fragrance, so I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I'm giving it a try. I'm starting to embrace marine fragrances and marine notes and fragrances. But Seaman Intense is marine notes, fleur de sel, spirulina, ambergris, moss, and grapefruit. How fishy does it smell? Does anybody know it? And do you recommend the original Seaman? Do put a comment down and let me know. Finally, Weidmann's Hail. Vetiver, nutmeg, Elemi, cashmere, ambergris, frankincense, spices, coriander, bergamot. This one sounds freaking fantastic. Really like the idea of this one. I want this one more than the Seaman Intense, but the Seaman Intense is just for me to collect here in the studio. And then, you know, when somebody comes by, a client, to smell stuff, I can pull it out if they want to smell it. So those 2 are from the house of Rammstein, a band that makes fragrances. If you haven't caught my video on Rammstein fragrances, I have it on the channel. Go search for Rammstein and you can watch it. It doesn't feature every one of their fragrances though, just to let you know. There's 6 fragrances in that video. Moving on to the house of Maison Crivellì, it's Amber Chromatique. Amber Chromatique is the 3rd red bottle extract fragrance. So we know it's going to be beast mode and intense. So for me, the first 2, out of the first 2, I prefer the patchouli over the hibiscus. I just love the way the patchouli smells on me, and it garners me compliments, go figure. I wore that on my flight to Europe back in June, and all I did was get compliments from everyone, so it was really, really interesting. Has major lingering power too, so I'm assuming the Amber Chromatique does as well. Quinton Biche is the perfumer for that one as well. It's benzoin, bourbon, vanilla, amber, davana, osmanthus, incense, and pink pepper. Does any of you have a favorite Maison Crivelli fragrance? Did you enjoy the Patchouli Magnetic? Did you prefer the Hibiscus Mahajad? Or is there another fragrance do you like from this house? I really love their Iris as well. I think it's one of the better fragrances from that house. Really enjoy it. But I'm looking forward to the Amber Chromatique as well. And then finally, there's another fragrance from Maison Crivelli, but this one seems like it's going to be very difficult to get. It's called Ingredients 07-212, created by Gael Montero. So this is a composition that's celebrating 10-year anniversary of Ingredients store in Prague. So not sure I'm going to be able to go to Prague. I have a friend that lives there actually. I should ask her to go buy me a bottle, but that might be way too complicated. But I'm really interested in finding out this one. It's a secret. There's no notes on it, so we're gonna have to find out what it is. Gael Montero, I don't know who this perfumer is, although I've seen the name. I don't remember any fragrances. So since it's secret, I'm very curious. I like these kind of fragrances. It's either going to be really fantastic or a big letdown. We shall see which it is. But Ingredients 07-2012 is one that sounds really exciting to me. I hope I get to sample it soon. We shall see. So those are the two fragrances from Maison Crivelli. Next, we're going to two fragrances from Dunhill. We've got Mongolian Cashmere, created by Julie Pluchet. That's the second fragrance I have this perfumer create on this list today. If you don't remember hearing, there was another fragrance, and I believe that one was the Penhaligon's. Yeah, two British brands creating fragrances with Julie Pluchet. So the Mongolian Cashmere is suede, orris, geranium, mandarin orange, musk, amber, pink pepper, and that's pretty much that particular fragrance. I like the idea of cashmere fragrances. There's the famous one from Donna Karan. I think it's called Cashmere Mist, which I haven't got my nose on in ages, but the idea of cashmere as a note sounds great, or cashmere as an experience. And then finally, Dunhill has Nordic Fougere. This one sounds even more exciting, especially since it's created by Jérôme Epinay, Michel Almerac of Robertet. These two perfumers work at Robertet. Of course, Jérôme Epinay does all the Wilhelm Parfumerie and Byredo fragrances. So, of course, Michel Almerac has the fragrances with his son, Parlez-moi de Parfum, and he does all kinds of other fragrances, but he's done fragrances for brands like Brioni and so on as of late. But Nordic Fougere features notes of basil, bamboo leaf, sandalwood, cardamom, kumquat, vanilla, patchouli, geranium. You know, I like the idea of kumquat in fragrances. I want to find a kumquat forward fragrance. It's just all about the kumquat. Usually I see that note come up and it's usually like a secondary player or a third player. But something about that note really excites me because it's got, I always grab a couple and eat them because my mom has a tree when I'm visiting her, and they're very tart, bitter. Just eat the skin and everything inside, the seeds and everything, because I like that kind of like punch flavor in my mouth. And I want to, you know, experience a fragrance with that note. But here it seems like it's more of a supporting player. But Nordic Fougere sounds really exciting for me to try. So those are the two Dunhill fragrances that are soon to launch. One more thing about the Dunhill. The last two fragrances that came out was a citrus and a lavender. I did not care for the lavender whatsoever. So these two, we shall see how they are. But moving on to Tiziana Terenzi, and they've got two fragrances launching soon. Of course, all of their fragrances are created by Paolo Terenzi, and the brand is named off of Paolo's sister, Tiziana Terenzi. And the first one is Talitha, I think that's how you say it. It's vetiver, ylang ylang, cinnamon, ambergris, leather, lemon, lemon leaf, gaiac wood, rose, and pink grapefruit. Sounds fun. They always make really intense fragrances, so we shall see how that one is. And then finally, Chi or Chai, however you say this, it's C-H-I. Once again, it's Paolo Terenzi. This one sounds a little more exciting than the last one. It's coffee, milk, oud, caramel, tonka, vanilla, patchouli, earthy notes, cypriol, truffles. So it seems like an earthy gourmand, almost like earthy soil tincture kind of an experience with gourmand notes. So sounds very interesting. I'm curious to try this one. I always enjoy the fragrances of Tiziana Terenzi, especially since they are very long lasting. Anyway, that's the last fragrance I'm talking about today. So exciting stuff coming out. Which one of these fragrances sounds the most exciting to you? Do let me know. Put a comment down. And as I said at the beginning, if you know of another fragrance that's coming out soon that I haven't spoken about, do do let me know. Put a comment down so I can find out. Either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.